Morning. I'm Timmy Noonan. I'm a senior, and I'm studying secondary language arts education. I work for new student enrollment here at Nebraska. So I work with students. I work with their families. I help build relationships between students and university. I got a lot on my hands. I got scared new students, and I got scared new parents. They got a lot on their minds, and I got a lot on my hands. This summer, I met a black woman whose daughter would be attending Nebraska. She looked like every scared parent with that one free hand that doesn't quite know what to hold because it hasn't let go of its child yet. Her petrified stare stopped my glance. Her younger daughter hung from her arm, begging to find someone named Mumu so they could just go home already. The mother kept her eyes on mine, tightened her grip on the little girl's hand, and dropped her jaw a bit like she had questions, but didn't know what to ask first, second, third. She had a lot on her hands. When I saw her, I smiled so wide you'd think my lips were running away from my teeth. I said, "Hello, I'm Tater Tot Timmy." And she laughed, but her shoulders still slumped forward like that snow you see on a car windshield in the sunlight, you know, when it hasn't quite melted but it's on its way. And her eyes squinted as she mustered her first question. "Tater Tot, where is the union? I need to find my daughter. We call her Mumu." In that moment, and I told her, "It's right down the block. I'd be happy to walk you." And the flood of questions emptied in front of me. And I answered. She took a breath. Her shoulders got broad like Boeing jet wings, but she still gave me that skeptical squint. She said, "You didn't talk to me like how those other folks talked to me." And I thought, oh no, what did I say? But I asked, "What do you mean?" And she smiled. "Well, honey, you sound like kind of scared. Like you don't know all the answers from some pamphlet that I'm not going to read anyway. You sound kind of scared like me. Thank you." We went to find Mumu after that. The flood of questions focused into a river running from the mouth of mother to the delta of daughter. This woman was a single mother. Mumu was not her first daughter to go to college, but neither the financial nor the emotional burden had gotten any easier over the years. My mind started to run back to Omaha, the place we both came from, the place this family came from, and the place that I made my home. That sprawling metropolitan city which, decades after Jim Crow, still cuts itself apart into black, white, brown, white neighborhoods. That city that dragged Will Brown from a courthouse in 1919, hung him, burned him, took proud pictures, and called it a race riot. And I think about this black mother and her daughter and our city, because where we come from matters. Because even though my family wasn't wealthy, my family was a network of safety nets making sure I never fell too far. You see, I grew up with privilege. Privilege that pays for second chances. Privilege that allows me to have bad days and not be reduced to them. I stole, I burned, I hurt as a child, and privilege kept people from seeing me as a collection of missteps. I've seen and felt the world treat me better. I've never had an educator call me him when I wanted to be called her. I've never been the only Latino in a class and had a teacher look right at me when we're talking about Mexican ELL students motioning to answer even though my family's from El Salvador. So when I talk to this black mother, even though she's buying what I'm selling, She's buying Tater Tot Timmy. Part of her will recoil because it hasn't been a century since Will Brown was hung in front of a courthouse in the city we both come from. The history is close enough to touch, and that matters in a way I can't articulate. It means something. And I'm an imperfect messenger. I'm on university payroll. I drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. So I told her the truth when I answered her questions and hoped it would help her pack her daughter's bags for the coming August. I met Mumu when we arrived at the Union. Mumu stood about the same height as her mother, almost like Simone Biles standing on her tippy toes. And she carried capricious confidence, ready to run into Memorial Stadium with thousands of Huskers past and present. She was ready to make this place home. And her mother looked at her, then looked at me. She shrugged her shoulders as if to say, "Let's see what you got." And I got a lot on my hands.
Buenos dias. Good morning. My name is Valerie Rodriguez. I was born in Reynosa, Tamaulipas, Mexico, and grew up in Mitchell, Nebraska. I am a third-year student, double major in Spanish and political science, and I'm a William H. Thompson Scholar, and this morning I will be speaking to you about my immigrant story. It's the year 2000. I am 5 years old. I remember being in a minivan wearing shorts, a green shirt, and black tennis shoes. I was with my 3 older brothers, crossing the Hidalgo border, stuck between Reynosa, Tamaulipas, Mexico, and McAllen, Texas. I look at the passenger, and I look at the driver, only to realize they weren't our parents. They were pretending to be our parents in order to cross 4 undocumented children across the border. I didn't understand what was happening. "Why are we leaving?" I would whisper to my brother, but I seen fear in his eyes. Maybe it was fear of getting caught, or the fear of being separated from our parents. Furthermore, I did not know that what was happening was against the law, but this would be the beginning of a journey to pursue the American dream. My family and I immigrated to a small town in western Nebraska, a town with a population of a little over 2,000 people, including about 100 people of color. This town grew upon us. It became our home. Learning a new language, a new culture, new customs was definitely stressful for my entire family. My father was the only provider and the only one with legal status. Employed at a meat processing plant, coming home every day smelling like cow and pig manure. During the summers, after working at the meat processing plant, he would take all of us to work the bean fields. As a 7-year-old, I remember running in front of Dad's bean row to beat him to the weeds, and I would use my entire body weight to pull them out. During the school year, my mother risked herself in driving us to school because she did not have a driver's license. Every time we would drive by a police officer, I would see her tense up and see her panic. Furthermore, she would tell us every morning, "Make sure you eat at school because when you come home, there may not be dinner." Additionally, both of my parents experienced a culture of stress, which my father turned to alcohol and physically abused my mom, my brothers, and myself. We could never call for help because we were undocumented. This occurred for 7 years, and until my father became a U.S. citizen and he was able to petition us. In 2008, my family and I were able to obtain our permanent legal residency. After my entire family gained legal status, everything turned around. We weren't afraid anymore, and we weren't afraid to call for help. My father finally realized that taking his stress out on us was wrong. So together, as a family, we were able to help each other. After going through an expensive naturalization process, and my father being the only provider to get us through that, our financial problems increased. ¿Cómo vamos a comprar comida? How are we going to buy groceries? I would hear my parents discussing. Hearing this as a 12-year-old made me worry a lot. So I did something about it. I worked the bean and flower fields, and then would go clean flower beds at the homes of rich white people. Every job I could lay my hands on, I did it to be able to help my parents financially. My entire experience as an immigrant has made me who I am today. College was never spoken about at home and was not an option for any of us. But I was not going to let that stop me from pursuing my dreams and becoming an immigration attorney and helping immigrants. I can proudly say that I am the first in my family to attend college. As a third-year college student, I can also say that I have advocated and spoken to state senators to pass legislation for DACA recipients. Additionally, last April in Washington, D.C., advocating to keep families together, I was able to sit inside the Supreme Court and hear the Texas versus United States case. As a student, immigrant, and advocate, I will continue fighting for the 11 million undocumented immigrants in our country. Thank you.
Next up, Ayat Aribi. Did I say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Ayat Aribi. I'm a junior biochemistry and global studies pre-law student here. And I didn't necessarily write a story. I wrote like a self-reflection of like a fictional Arab American girl. I do not think I have actually ever known who I am. I do not think I will ever learn who I am either. I do not have my own personality or identity, and I do not know what it is that makes me, me. I find myself taking traits and characteristics from others that I like and making them my own. I have tried to figure it out, who I am, tried to define myself, find out what I enjoy doing, what I dislike, and what I am absolutely in love with. I define myself as a complicated person. I am with myself every second of the day, but if someone were to ask me who I was, I wouldn't have an answer. This is not to say I have no identity. I know the basics, asking my favorite color, green, my name, Noor, my favorite food, pasta. This is just my description, not my definition. I've always had two great, successful, beautiful older sisters to look up to and admire. They are two completely different individuals that shape who I am. Amira, abstract, able, aberrant. I feel such a big part of me belongs to her. Her constant indecisiveness, her enormous heart full with more love than it receives, and her habit of getting bored of things too regularly. Amira is who I am and who I want to be. Amira is the person that lights up a room when she enters. She is full of happiness with beauty beyond compare. A large portion of my interests and mindset belong to Rula, ravishing, radiant, revolutionary. Rula is unstoppable. If she has her mind set on achieving something, she will achieve it plus more. She is brilliant, with a mind capable of doing more than anything imaginable. Rula is who I am and who I wish to become. I do not credit myself for my identity. My surroundings make me who I am. Why is green my favorite color? It is because I have a love so strong for nature, the great trees soaring over everything underneath them, and the lush grass that canvases the world. I am the tree, strong enough to stay in place during a storm, but sway wildly in the wind. I am the grass that blooms every spring as if it never died. My favorite food is dolma because of the memories that come with it. Folding the delicate grape leaves with my mother early in the morning to give them just enough time to cook perfectly. The amount of love put into cooking and serving the dolma is who I am. I am not saying I have no originality, because I do. The different ways I was able to pair various traits, interests, and desires together form a character unlike anyone else, combining my lack of creativity that angers me with my love for art. My 11 p.m. thoughts about my purpose in the world and my future plans to change people's lives, my craving for excitement that overpowers my fear of new experiences. There is only one Noor Zahir in this world, but there are hundreds of things that make Noor Zahir. Every element of my existence is created by an artistic process of weaving myself together, each thread representing a piece of me. The peaceful coexistence within me is a direct result of my open-minded, loving parents who were gifted that trait from their parents. From Rafal, I gained my love for nature and good company. She taught me to never be affected by what others say or think of me. A portion of her bravery lives within me. From Isam, I gained laughter. My father will make a joke about everything and will have everyone overflowing with laughter. I am who I am because of my two wonderful parents who have given me so much. I am the memories that I do not have about my life as a refugee coming to America, the hardships and sleepless nights my parents had to face to give me a better life, a life away from war and violence and destruction, the racism and fear of others that made my family consider abandoning their religion, a religion of peace that makes me who I am today. Not many people identify and define themselves by their religion. My religion gives me the one true piece of my identity that I am sure of. I am told to define myself every day. What do you want to be when you grow up? What are you interested in? The truth is, I don't know how to define myself. What are the limits when it comes to defining oneself? Is it solely my outer definition, what others see? Or is it what I hide deep down inside so others will not see? Something as simple as my favorite food or color form my identity that was assembled together by my life experiences, my friends and family who have contributed parts of their identities to form mine. I am not able to define myself, and I am not sure I will ever be able to. I am here to be defined by what makes me. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is LaShawn Woodard. I am a sophomore this year at the university, and my major is landscape architecture. Today, I will be telling you a story, hopefully one of passion and pain to pull the heart. One, hopefully, for the mind and soul, and not for the glory. The tale of two best friends who were torn apart due to society's stereotypical lens. Moving day is where it all begins. Dejan being dropped off feels tight, confused whether he should be here or not. He feels lost and looks around and notices that nobody looks like him. He stays strong and he puts on a smile and a grin, but still, no one sees his cry for help. Colt, as he's leaving the car, he feels lucky as if the right hand has been dealt. He thought he'd never make it to college. His biggest fear was his biggest fear was that he would never make it out of his room, as if it was just a closet. The colliding of two different worlds will soon commence. Dejan and Colt were about to meet. When they see each other for the first time, neither of them could speak, for their views were clouded by negative thoughts. He probably a stuck-up, silver spoon, rich white kid. He looks like he's a wannabe thug who blames people who look like me for his pain and the reason why he has no heart. He probably is just like the rest of them. He thinks that I don't belong, but he doesn't know how hard I fought to be here. He probably thinks I'm some rich, spoiled kid with nice clothes, money, and a nice car. They couldn't look beyond the stereotypical glass, for their judgment was blinded by what society has told them to see. They both wanted to gain each other's trust, so they take a chance on each other and throw away all their beliefs. The next day was the big red welcome. This is the day where all the freshmen get together. They didn't know anyone else, so naturally they decided to just go together. On the way, they began to talk. Somehow the conversation led to backstories. Dejan talked about the toughness of Southside Chicago, losing friends and family to the street, and even having friends crippled by gunshot wounds, and now they can't even walk. Colt, feeling as if his issues were small, still decided to tell it all. After that day, things between them changed. Them opening up to each other created a bond, trust. For DeJean still felt as if his whole life was being rearranged. Colt still felt as if everything was by chance or luck. As the year continued, their friendship grew to be something they never could have imagined. They hung out every day, studied every day, they even partied together. So much was changing for the better, though they never planned it. The school year was coming to an end. They didn't want their friendship to die with the year, so they decided to room together next year. Over the summer, they kept in touch, hung out here and there, but soon to come was the very thing that caused nothing but the worst. The presidential candidate race had begun. Though DeJean and Colt were close, they've never discussed politics. DeJean jokingly referred to the race as a rat race. Then Colt, he exploded, ranting about how our country needed somebody bold enough to change it. DeJean nods, but doesn't know how to respond and holds a blank face. As the school year progresses, Trump causes an uproar. DeJean, being used to tension and racial conflict, doesn't pay any attention to it. But he notices Colt's new aggression towards him. DeJean tries to let it be and he moves forward. Then it all happened at once. The day before DeJean's test, he got a phone call from his mom. She told him that his closest friend from back home, Gus, had been murdered. DeJean couldn't make a sound. In awe and confusion, DeJean dropped the phone, shattering. Colt, who was asleep at the moment, awakened by the noise, bust out of his room in rage and yelled at the top of his lungs, "Stop making noise, you fucking nigger." DeJean, angry, confused, and lost, knocks Colt to the ground, begins to cry and yells out, "On my mama, if I had my gun, I would pull the trigger." Colt says, "I'll do you one better." Bang. Thank you.
I'm Peitu Washteye. Good day. My name is Shannon Lapointe. I'm from Niobrara, Nebraska. It's my third year here at UNL, and I'm majoring in secondary English language arts education with a minor in Native American studies. I'm also a William H. Thompson Scholar. Shout out to Miss King over there. And I'm also a part of Unite, which is the Native American group on campus. And today, I wanted to tell you a story about a little girl. She climbed, racing against her brothers, over the porch and into their new home. Only 3 years old, about to start preschool on the reservation, the place her mom grew up. But just because that's how she started, doesn't mean that's how she'll finish. She looked, waiting for her dad to come home. She remembers phone calls every couple of months, always with the new promise. "I'll come home for your brother's graduation. I'll be there for Christmas, I promise." Last time he called, she refused to talk to him. She was mad, tired of his lying. He never called again. She coughed, trying to make herself seem too sick to go to school that day. "I don't work all day just so you can skip school," her mama would always say. Man, she sure did make her feel bad for skipping. After all, her mama really didn't work in the kitchen all day, in the gas station all night, and random jobs on the side only for her and her brothers to fake a cough. She rarely ever saw her mom, only at 4 p.m. each day in between jobs. She refused, denying her mama's efforts to make her dance. "Grab your regalia, we're going to the powwow." She said she didn't want to dance anymore, said she didn't like it, but mama knew. She knew the real truth. Living in a white town with mostly white friends made it hard to be another native dancing jingle dress every powwow season. Who knew she would miss it so much? She cried, hoping her mama wouldn't continue being mad for starting her first relationship at the age of 15. You're finishing school. Don't get pregnant because I'm not going to take care of your ass forever, her mama would say. Did you know her mom dropped out of high school at age 16 because she had her eldest son? She stressed, working every job she could find since the 6th grade, mowing lawns, washing dishes, cleaning bathrooms, taking orders, and cleaning motel rooms. All jobs she held until she became a sophomore in college. Here comes little Lisa, other people would say, constantly working just like her mama. She dreamed, continuing each day because she had to watch her mother work too much, cry over no heat in the house, apologize for no food to eat, and light candles when the electricity was turned off. It'll be turned back on tomorrow, her mom would say. But she knew. She knew her mama had to say that just so they wouldn't get upset. She worked, searching for colleges that would take her, for scholarships that would help her. She rarely saw her friends and was always sick from being stressed, but never giving up because she knew she needed to make it to college somehow, some way. She watched, arriving on campus, unfazed by the PWI. She may have started preschool in the res, but she finished high school in a little white town called Niobrara. The difference between UNL and home is the native population. She didn't realize the lack of native peoples had an effect on her until she became mentally exhausted from being the all-telling, one native perspective for every class, every event, every administration, and every student. How does she tell her native perspective when she doesn't even know it? When she doesn't even understand where she comes from, where she belongs? Her dad abandoned her at age 4. Her mom was a runaway at 17. She stopped practicing the culture a long, long time ago. She's scared, leaving behind natives she used to know, dropouts, mothers, suicides, jailed, and she's losing herself, afraid of becoming the next failed statistic on a campus where she can count all other natives on one hand. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dwayne Taylor. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm a senior broadcasting major. Where I'm from. I know where I'm from. Right off a page. Round the corner from M&M's. Back door to grandma's house. Just been born, right? Fresh out of the hospital manger of things. A pair of hands reach, and I'm transported into preschool. I like the kids, but mom's got me doing this weird ritual every morning. Starts with the Lord's Prayer, into Ephesians, and ends with reciting a sentence. I am smart. I am special. I can do anything through black baby Jesus. As I got older, I fought the ritual, but mom insisted. It became effortless, like taking a morning breath. As I got old enough to trek out into the streets, I felt the weight of my community, my hood, my block, slap my ritual like a bulletproof vest. Walk to Popeyes, the corner store, the McDonald's, the corner store, the Chinaman, then the corner store. I dapped up with more homies than heathens, and more homies who knew heathens, who they called homies. Each bond cementing like the cracked concrete beneath our feet days in and days out. The only shift coming from the thump, 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 thump of some stranger subwoofer. And we would sometimes guess the song from about 3 blocks away, but by the time the car got to us, my cream soda vest was already done. It was summer. It was hot. but the community warmth had faded by winter. I found myself asking, where am I from? See, Mom got this new job in Nebraska, and it's not as cold as everyone thinks all the time. It's not as old either, but the shock will get you. It will. First day in school, I'm wearing baggy, not sagging pants and a white tee. Eyes dark, just enough to get a look. See, I was different. And I've never really been different before. I didn't know how to react. Should I react in fear? Should I act in anger? Should I withdraw from interacting completely? I picked anger. See, I met a kid named Marshall in the weight room one day after school, standing in the cafeteria. He came up and slapped my ass. I spun, ejected my fist into his jaw, rage. Yelled through threats, right, left, faster, left, right, left, faster than my fist could fly. I later found out he wasn't testing me. That was how football players greeted each other here. As I geared up to apologize, Mom's ritual came right back to me. I am smart. I am special. I can do anything. Jesus loves me. I got involved. By the next year, I had a rhythm to being wildly outnumbered. When I met certain people, white people, I could see internal worry, my size, their fears, my music. I thought about how the sight of a young black male could appeal instead of appall. How could I appall less than I appeal? So I walked with a warm smile. Said hello to anyone that looked my way, testing. How well can I fit in? I found the formula. Started assimilating. I saw the benefit. Having communicative skills at a higher level than the average person will allow my blackness the greatest ability to assimilate seamlessly. I see what this means for me. I jumped into a passion I didn't even know existed. Forensics changed my life. After competing on a national level, I was approached by universities. Different problem, I hadn't thought about college yet. I chose the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Cornhuskers, the Sea of Red. Top 10 for about 20 years. I knew it was the right spot, right down the street from home. Down the street from home. Hey, Mom, I'm home. I didn't have a rough time entering campus. I knew staff from leadership events in high school, most of the students through high school. I realized what I experienced in high school was the same in college. On a larger scale and with like a billion more variables, of course, but still. Navigate, connect, work. See, I focus on my future, things will turn out all right. Maybe. But that makes living in these times tough. Conversations need to be had. But I know when it won't work out. I've worked and I've worked in and I've worked out, and I know what their point of view looks like. So I stay away. I mean, I'm open to crucial conversations if someone brings them up to me, but realistically, that doesn't happen. My ability's there to entertain. I learned to beatbox. That went well. People would ask me to speak. So I found a rhythm for speaking that I couldn't deny. When I beatboxed, I always shared a message. Now all I do is share messages. Entertaining messages mostly, but still, in front of crowds, with a warm smile, raised eyebrows, better than the average person. I love it. Maybe that's because it's my best defense mechanism. I don't know. But if it is, it's working. Thank you.